So, welcome to the Onlinification Pod, Ingrid and Qarin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice to have you both here. I know that Ingrid, you have recorded a podcast episode before.
Yes,
But
I have.
what was that about?
What was I don't remember.
It was product launches, I think, or
Yeah, okay.
something like that.
We do a lot of that.
And Qarin,
Yes.
have you participated in any podcast before?
No, actually, I haven't. So this is exciting.
Yeah, great. So, can we start with you, Ingrid? Who are you and what do you do at Suma?
Yeah, I'm a timer at Suma, and I'm a business manager and a strategist at Suma, working with our largest client. So and I'm involved in a lot of different projects together with the other colleagues and friends working with Suma or with this customer.
Yeah. That's good. And Karin,
Yes.
who are you and what do you do at Suma?
Yes, I'm Karin Löfgren, and I've been at Suma for a decade now, but not as long as Ingrid. And today I work mostly as a product manager and content creator, and I'm involved in a lot of launches, videos, and demo productions.
Yeah. And you two work a lot together,
Yes,
right?
we work very much together.
Yes.
In the same.
Yes, we do. We are a small team working with this client all the time. Or it's not a small team actually. We are quite many.
Yeah, you are. But the small team in Suma, and
Yeah.
So you both work with this client who usually they participate exhibits in annual trade show, and I know that you work with many projects related to that trade show. And could you, Ingrid, tell us a bit what happened when this trade show was cancelled due to the pandemic?
Yes, it's actually much more than just a trade show. It's a big congress, so it attracts attention from all the large decision makers in the industry and a lot of also different type of companies in the ICT sector, and it's very influential in all its what it's doing. And normally there is around 100,000 people coming to this congress, and there are some big halls with exhibition, and everyone is talking together and showing what's the latest thing and discussing how to take the business or the industry forward. And then we do a lot of stuff for that. We really have some very busy times up until that moment when it happens. But the last time it was supposed to happen, just when the pandemic broke up, we were working with, as usual, with a lot of different productions. And then it was decided not to go there because the pandemic broke up. And it was a very sensible decision from all the different parties taking place in that.
And
So-
Karin,
Just a comment then. So maybe that's a different question from you, Alexander. But what happened was, you could say that there wasn't actually much things happening besides that we didn't go there, because we just continued to work on the things that we had been working on for the last few months, and we then and our customer, they decided to use everything that we have done. Basically, I would say 99% of the things that we've used and finalized, and then go into much more of a digital mode.
yeah. Karin, could you walk us through how you experience it? Is it the the thing you do for this congress? Is it did you need to rethink when it's instead of being like a physical congress where you meet in person compared to having it online?
I would say that no, not really, because what we mostly produce then is demos, and these demos usually it's usually a physic installation, and then it's either it is the same or it is a version of that one that is then a restricted demo that is available online. And we have been doing these demos for so many years, so that with these demos, we know that they are not only used at this single event. They are reusing them afterwards in customer discussions and etc. So they are already before the Congress optimized for desktop viewing and mobile viewing and what's needed. So I would.
So you can say that the Congress itself is a starting point for all the things that needs to be discussed throughout the years, and they build upon that in different ways to take it out to road shows, to customer meetings, to digital seminars, to local events, etc. So they are from the start. That's part of the equation, you could say.
And also a lot of the different assets that is building up to these demos are reused and repurposed for other types of media. And so we try to make those reusable in several different ways.
So you completed the event online that year.
Well, what happened was that all the different projects and productions that we were involved with, they were all finalized, and all the things that we have created have been used extensively in other situations. So even if you think that you're going to a physical event from the start, there was like a digital sort of use thought in from the start already, and now that was more the focus was then sort of more on the digital events, but they are also used in their own. They have their own sort of exhibition or a studio where everything is up and running all the time, all the year around, and the customer is coming to visit. So that's also where things are used.
Yeah. So, Qarin, could you walk us through an examples of a digital product presentations you have?
Yes, I can.
Qarin, maybe you can just explain a little bit what different types of
yes
demos there are.
Yes. So we do a lot of digital demos, but we used to divide them into different categories. And then there are actually about 4 categories. So we have like the solution demos, which are interactive and content rich pieces. And then we have a more streamlined version, which we call for digital presentations, but they are still interactive, and so you can say it's an advanced slide deck maybe. But and then we have GUI demos, which are you can say it's supposed to be a prototype that we feed with real-time data. And that is to replicate selected parts of existing applications that already exists that you want to demonstrate. And then we also build something that we call Try Me tools, and these are very appreciated because they allows customers, etc., to explore relevant features and benefits by customizing input parameters based on their own businesses. And a lot of these demos are restricted demos, gated, but then we also use some of these that we actually implement on the website. So instead of just having a basic video, we sometimes embed these demos to make better experiences online.
And I'd like to add 2 more categories actually, and that is the immersive demos. That's also often a physical installation of some kind where you really have an immersive experience. So that is often sort of the introduction to a lot of different solution demos. So first you have the immersive demos, that is a fuller explanation of a key offering area, and then from that you can go into looking at several solution demos. That's one more category. We do a lot of those, and it can be, for example, a physical table with projections combined with a big screen. It can be different types of interaction where you can steer what's happening on the screen. And another also category is the value calculator, where there is a lot of logic and data behind what you see on the screen. It's a little bit like the Try Me tools, but they are more based on, for example, findings from analyst firm that our customer has then collected, and then you can go in there and you can draw different levers and see what happens if you do different things, and come up with how quickly you can get return on investment, for example, for different type of new features, etc. And that is really good to show the value of a product or a solution.
So you have these 5 categories of different product presentations. So how do you 6? Yeah. How do you choose between them? Like, how do you make a decision that this fits this demo?
Well, what happens is that our customer get in touch with us, and then we start discussing what their needs are, and they often know a little bit what their thoughts are, and then we discuss around that. And after we had the first discussion, we produce a debrief back to them, and we say, okay, based on our discussion, this is what we think you will need, and they confirm that our debrief is according to their needs or their thoughts. And then based on that, maybe we discuss again and we have some idea around the concept. And then after that, they confirm, and then we prepare a quote, the budget estimate, and the time plan and the process for the overall thing. And then we just get started with the project.
So during your time at Suma, Ingrid, how do you see like the development of digital presentations and demos? How have they evolved during the last 10 years?
Well, I think that as sort of the world becomes more advanced, and there is a lot of, we are all talking about how software is a greater part of a product, for example, then you really need to make it clear and understandable what the solution means. And then you cannot just use, you really have to visualize, and you really have to explain how things work in order to make it for the customer to understand what this all means. And it's especially true also at these large congresses, because people walking around there, they see a lot of different stuff. They really maybe see 100 different things, and when they come up to you, you must make it really easy and understandable and intuitive, and you must also be able to be prepared to take a very short discussion and still give them some really useful information. Or you must be able to, if they are very knowledgeable, you must be able to have information in there that you can go deep into certain specific topics. So from that perspective, we have learned a lot how to produce these kind of demos so that they fulfill these kind of needs. But I think we have been working on quite advanced demos for quite a long time, and they've been used the same way, not only at the floor, but also in customer meetings and online for quite some time.
Yeah. So Qarin, what do you think are the main challenges when creating digital demos and product presentations?
I would say that the main challenge mostly comes to the product process. So ideally, we have all the input, and it is signed off internally from a client. And then we start designing, we review, updates accordingly, and then when everyone is happy with the design, it moves over to then programming. But unfortunately, the reality does not often look like that. So it's quite common that we start producing because we know a bit about what is going into the demos, and then we try to be flexible, of course. But it happens once in a while that we get to do updates later in the processes, and that is something that of course is not very cost efficient, but we try to be flexible and we always meet the deadlines.
Yeah. And do you have any tips on how to overcome these challenges, like getting the right start?
Information and that we go through processes in the beginning, and I think also that our customers know all about this, but then there are a lot of different stakeholders, and the reality is not always that structured that it optimally would have been. So but communication is always, of course, very good.
Yeah.
So
And Ingrid, about these 6 categories, are there anything that must be included in every demo and presentations? Any characteristics or general things?
Yes, of course. It's always important to prepare the demo so that it's interesting from a customer point of view. You always have to think about what's interesting for the customer. But I think also what is very important is that you think that you should be very visual. Not a lot of text, more visual content that is easy to grasp, that sort of both gives the information but also the feeling around a specific solution. So we usually put a lot of effort into creating nice visuals and a good experience.
So it's usually a lot of animated animations and videos and 3D generated everything.
Yeah, that's great. And is there anything you should consider, Qarin, by making it reusable so that content can be repurposed?
Yes. So we know that there are several demos that we built several years ago, and these are still being updated and rebuilt. So we always have that in mind when we build demos, that we try to guide customers to the right solution, and we try to have that repurpose mindset. So if we see that this might be problematic, if we want to add a different use case or add new use cases, then we try to find a better solution for realizing the same effect, if you can say so. And it's also nice to see that a lot of, as Ingrid said, these demos are very graphical experiences, not too much text in them, but all the assets that goes in, it could be animations, videos, and images, etc. And these are often also then reused for other purposes. It could be anything from presentations to social assets that you so yes, so we try to make sure that everything that goes into the demo is available for other purposes also.
Yeah, that's great. And Ingrid, could you share some main learnings from the past 10 years working with demos and digital presentations?
Yeah, I think we already have discussed some of the learnings that we have made, but maybe that's to conclude then that you have to have a good process where you, from the beginning, that you think big, and then you try to make it clearer and clearer along the way, and then you work according to the process and not going back from to the start again. So everyone understands that once you've done the design and once you have done the structure, then you and go into programming, you can change the content, but shouldn't start think over things again.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the demos themselves, that they should be very visual, easy to understand. You should have the possibility to give a very short presentation based on the demo, but also go deeper if there are specific questions and technical expert that you meet up with. Another learning is that you can tag the presentation, so you can have a look at in after how it's used and where it's used. For example, if you distribute it through a global organization, you can see which countries or areas in the world actually using the demo for customer meetings, etc. You should make sure that the content and assets that goes into the demo, that you can reuse it for other purposes, so that then even if it's quite costly to build a demo, then you can get the bigger value from it because it can be used for many different things. So that's a few of the learnings that we have.
Yeah. And do you have anything to add there, Qarin, or was that complete list?
I think that was a very good list, yes.
Well, then, thank you both very much for participating in this episode.
Thank you for inviting us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.